What is y'all? Your favorite pal and your favorite YouTuber and your favorite social media fanatic right here, Dr. Dude on the YouTube channel, Dr. Dude here, alright? So today's video, we are going to do a history video on this channel, alright? For the first time ever, we're going to do an actual military history of one of the most influential tanks that's been well known throughout the world. They also been used by many countries. They also been used since the Cold War era. We're going to talk about tanks that were created from the beginning of the Cold War and used till this day. We're talking about Russian tanks. That's right, y'all. Russian tanks that have been used by many countries like China, India, African countries, Middle Eastern countries, and all the other countries that are use them to this day. Alright? We're going to talk about how are they still being used, and also what is the flaw of these tanks has, and also what major part of events that were part of history right here, y'all. Before we get started on talking about the history of the Russian tanks from the beginning of the Cold War, I'd like to tell y'all that I'd like to thank y'all for helping me reach 25,000 followers on Instagram right here, y'all. I'm like, wow, the most highest social media account out of all of my social media accounts I made on my social media platform. I'm like, wow, 25,000 followers. That is high for me, like the highest I ever get to and stuff. I bet I would hit 100,000 at the end of 2023 here, y'all. If I do, I'll be like making the biggest carbonated drink I ever done in my life, okay? I want to do that so badly, okay, y'all? Plus, also, this channel is about to hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. I'm so glad. I just hope I hit 2,000 subscribers on this channel here, alright, y'all? Just let's just keep on growing this channel and help me reach 10,000 subscribers at the end of this year, alright? We need to make this channel good and also help more influence people. Plus, I got, like you guys know, I got Discord and Twitch now on part of my social media empire right here, which you guys can come. I'll send y'all the link and also show you all my accounts on Discord and Twitch, so that way you guys can follow me and chat and see what I'm planning on making on Discord and stuff, alright? So now let's get to the history of the Russian tanks here, okay, y'all? Alright, so ever since World War II ended in 1945, it also brings the rise of both dominant powers such as the USSR and the USA, that which they both play a major role in the defeat of the Nazi Germany and the Japanese Empire and the Italian Empire as well. But also, it also makes things even crazier, and the story get really wider and stuff. Both sides decided to make one side more countries that supported communism and more side that supported more democracy and stuff. Alright, see who want to influence who and stuff. So USSR had influenced more Eastern countries in Eastern Europe, including Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, who else? Belarus, Ukraine, all that other countries stuff, including other countries like China and Asia too. And also, both sides didn't play a big role to see which dominant influencer or dominant country can rule the world or something like that, alright? And so the Cold War began, all the nukes were being built, and also one of the most important things besides nukes is how many tanks that both sides want to build, so that way, so who have better tank advantage and stuff. So America and US decided to start by building more tanks to show off who had better advantage stuff. And also, when the Korean War happened, the T-34 tanks that are like the main the main tank of the Soviet Union is becoming more obsolete and stuff, and also becoming less dominant than it used to was back in World War II. So USSR decided to end their production of the T-34 tanks. Decided to make new improved tanks that will represent the whole entire USSR and other Eastern European countries and other countries that supported communism. Like, for example, right here, like the T-34, not T-34, the T-54 tanks or the T-55 tank became the main production tanks that have been created mostly in history. It also has been created more and more in tank production. It also been sold to a lot of countries, like mostly in Middle Eastern countries that love the tanks from the USSR. It also much cheaper and stuff. It also been used really well by USSR. It also the way of the tanks are during the Cold War of the Russian tanks, it like play a major role in other events itself. They also the Russian T-54s or 55 tanks play a major roles in wars in the Middle East, such as the Arab-Israeli War and the Six-Day War that happened somewhere in the 1960s and stuff. Russian tanks are really well known, but they're also cheaper to buy too. When you think about it, Russia needs money and stuff from other countries that love their tank designs. They're also being used in production and also in combat. So it like a tank. One tank cost like $4 or $5 million back then. Like one tank per $5 million right there. And also the way that those two tanks are well known to the world because of its millimeter gun, like 100 millimeter artillery on its tank and stuff. And also it had a crew of 4. It's like 20 or 30 tons. And also the weight of the tank is 30 or 40 tons itself. And also, what the problem with the tank like that is, starting to becoming more and more dramatic problem with it, such as when the Six-Day War happened, many of their T-54s or T-55 tanks starting to have significant problems, like when it comes to like terrain or even the gas or the engine itself have a lot of flaws of it, because due to not been trained or designed to combat in the desert and stuff against the Israeli forces. Hundreds of those Russian T-55, 54 tanks get destroyed in the battle against the Jewish Centurion tanks. And so the USSR, watching how their design are made, how they're designed can withstand another tank battle against another enemy tank. They know for the fact that their tanks are not as strong as they thought it would be, so they decided to make another tank they want to make, such as the T-62 tanks or the T-64 tank, to counter other enemy tanks. It had well-known what make this design even better. It had an autoloader cannon, alright? Well, you also, the ammunition, it packed under the artillery and stuff. When you reload, when it comes to how they reload, it takes 5 seconds. For example, like when one shell is already been used, once you replace it, the autoloader put the new artillery cell into the artillery cell like this, and have the package be used to fire the artillery shell, alright, and then put the artillery in there, and fire, quickly and stuff, alright. It continued to do that stuff over and over again. It also had a bigger cannon, 115 millimeter cannon. It decided to destroy something that is bigger too now. But what's the problem with those tanks, that the design of it cannot go all the way like to a 180 degree right there. And also when it comes to hilltop, like try to aim it at the enemy, it cannot go all the way down. That's another disadvantage which the T-62 and 64 tank has always been. It causes more flaws in the tank itself. So the USSR wanted to make another newest tank where this tank would be faster and stronger than all their previous tanks in battle and stuff. Like the T-72 tank, one of the most well-known tanks that have been well-influenced and one of the most famous tanks to this day. T-72 tanks are faster, stronger, and bigger artillery gun they use in battle now. Hold on a second. So anyway, the T-72 tank is was well set than their other previous tanks and stuff. Like I said, it also became one of the most symbolized tanks in the USSR history. What the design of the tank is, it go go faster like modern day, like other Western tank does, but fast. It also had a good artillery that we could fire artillery anti-tank pierce artillery shells, which it would be designed to destroy any other armored tank that we would be seeing in combat and stuff. And also, it was well known used by many countries, and people, mostly India, bought the blueprints for the Soviet T-72 tanks. It became like a well-known symbol to Indian military and also to Iraqi armies like Saddam Hussein, who loved the T-72 tank from the USSR. It was also used in battle, like during the Iran-Iraq war, with Iraq used the T-72 tank in battle against the Iranian army that lasted from 1979 till 1989, with a long battle right there, y'all. But however, what does all the Russian tank have is a flaw, a major flaw, which to me that it kind of is a big deal to most tanks, such as what Western tanks have different than the Russian tanks during the Cold War is the armor itself, chopper armor, which we Western countries such as U.S. with their Abrams tank, Britain with their Challenger tanks, and Germany or West Germany such as their Leopard 1 or 2 tanks, which they all have the same armor density. It has a better high protection armor that can protect their tank crew from any artillery shell or any other tank shells which they were at war against and stuff. And USSR do not have that kind of armor. Alright, they said they rely on steel armor, which to me is way weaker than the armor that we use in Western country and Western Europe and stuff. It's very important that tanks like those need to have better armor to protect your crew and stuff. And also what makes it worse for Russian tanks is that the ammunition. Unlike us Western country, our ammunition such as the Abrams can keep it behind the armor, behind the artillery. So you see the design of the Abrams tank, right? You know where the armor is and stuff. Our tank shelf is, okay? And you know where they put it in, alright? They keep it in a small case with well protected by a locked door in the tanks. in case they want to reload a new tank shell and stuff. But however, Russian tanks like that is under the tank crew itself. Like under the tank crewman, like did a bad position to put your tank shells at, alright? So anyways, right after the T-72 is still in service to this day with a well-known design, plus another generation tank that come after the T-72 tanks are the T-80 tanks and T-90 tank, with to me both had similarity like the T-72 and like the other previous tanks. They all had the same design look of it, which you could tell they all had the same design of the tank of it, okay? But what made me not like this, because they all are shorter. All of their tanks are short than their Western country enemies, and they're not big. They're not that. You get what I mean, right? What the problem with those tanks that they rely on old design tanks. Really, the design of it looks like I don't like it. I just don't like how the Russian tanks are in military. And also, I don't like how many countries bought these Russian tanks in battle against the other tanks. For example, right? Back in 1993 or 1994, when maybe a little earlier than that, but remember the war when Iraq invaded Kuwait? They thought they would be a dominant power by taking Kuwait and its oil resources and stuff. And also, they thought their tank is much superior in combat and stuff. But what the problem with T-72 tanks, they're kind of obsolete. Like, they are now obsolete to other Western countries because the Western countries have newer, upgraded tanks that can take on T-72 tank now in battle. And also, when U.S. and its allied country decided to put Iraq back to its border and also take on Saddam, Republican Guard, and the tank crew, within 2 months, the allied countries had defeated Iraq. That fast, like destroying hundreds of T-72 tanks. But the problem with that is because the tank crews who use them in battle against the U.S. forces are not as good as you think. Because also most of their artillery are not that strong enough to destroy Abrams tank in battle and stuff. You see, also one of the biggest problems with the Russian tank is what will happen if you hit their tank, like either from an RPG or other tank that destroy it. Alright, see, look at the tank. Imagine getting hit by RPG while you're in battle against the enemy forces. If once that tank get hit by RPG or artillery, the turret of the tank will explode. The tank will explode. The turret will go like hundreds of meters high, like falling to the ground and stuff. It like a soda pop bursts, like the lid bursts off the bottle of the soda. All right, like this, like came right off while turning the lid or opening it and stuff. When you see it on other videos and stuff. What's worse for the tank, while after being destroyed, the body of the tank crewmen, their body are disintegrated, like turned to dust. Alright? Because all that artillery shells that in the tank under there, it caused the whole entire tank to explode like fireworks, or you call it like a bomb and stuff. That's why one of the reasons I don't like the Russian tank. I don't like the design of it. I don't like how it being used to this day. Although I don't like how they still using steel armor in battle and stuff. When you look, the way I see it, also another war that happened right after Iraq War, the Chechen War. Remember that? Where Russia trying to take down Chechnya in a all-out independent war for Chechen's people and stuff. When Russia thought they would take down the rebellion very easy, like within a month or so, but however, it was a disaster for Russian army when they tried to take Chechnya, alright? Because one story and one event that happened in that war, like there were 28 T-80 tanks that were sent to one city to destroy the Chechen army, okay? When that battle ended, it took like hours. It took hours for the Russian tank to take on the enemy itself. But however, the Chechen army are well trained at battling any enemy itself, even Russian forces. Like they are well trained. They know how to fight their enemy and stuff. Of the 28 T-80 tanks that were sent to that small city, only 7 or 6 of those tanks came back because all their T-80 tanks got destroyed by the enemy. They use urban warfare in this battle. Urban warfare is very important in battle nowadays, alright? And you see, Chechen army know how to destroy these tanks in battle. Like, really know how to, okay? I'm like, the Russian tank need to find a new design and a new equipment tank to battle against enemy forces in the future. So a next generation tank, the T-90 tanks. They think that tanks are now more improved, more valuable in battle than all their tanks, even better than T-72 tanks. Alright? But, however, it too has flaws like T-72 tank, 80 tank, 52, 64, 55, and 54 right there. It's have the same flaws like the other, right? To me, this is not new and stuff. And also, Russian tanks like those should not be used no more. Like, do not use those kind of tanks, alright? Because those tanks are awful to use in battle nowadays, okay? Especially against technological warfare like in Ukraine, where you have that little droid in the sky holding a little mortar cannon and drop it onto inside of a tank turret, alright? And you know what happened? Once that grenade get into the tank, it is destroyed, completely, becoming useless. Or of course, abandoned by Russian crewmen and stuff in the war in Ukraine. And also, Russian tanks try to use these little box things to prevent their enemies of just hitting them. Like, once the RPG is close to hitting the enemy, like one of the Russian tanks, one of the boxes force the RPG rocket to detonate without hitting the tank itself. But it still was not good enough to be used in battle because many Western countries and Ukrainians know how to prevent that to happen. Like they use javelin rocket launchers or record newer design RPGs to take on Russian tanks nowadays. You get what I mean? I don't like how many countries want to buy these tanks. Alright? Because they're cheaper to use in battle and stuff. There's a story about tanks in South Sudan. They were one side using Chinese tank like Type 55 tanks against Soviets T-72 tank in battle. Like it was South Sudan's war right now. One side used Chinese tank and the other one used Russian tank. And guess what happened? Chinese tanks that were bought by the other group from the Chinese, their tanks are a lot superior and it could destroy Soviet tanks. Not one Chinese tank was destroyed in battle against Russian tanks. Alright? You get what I mean? It shows that Russian tanks are not as powerful as you think nowadays. And now Chinese tanks are more powerful than Russian tanks now. I felt like that Chinese tanks are more dominant tanks than Russian nowadays. And also the design of that Chinese tank, to me, is more improved and more better than Russian tanks to me. Oh, a lot of things to say about this, alright? If I were the leader of a country, I would buy Chinese tanks from China than buying Soviet tanks from Russia, alright? You get what I mean? Alright? So anyway, tank you also, remember the story when Russia about to announce their new project tank they want to use in military now? Like the T-14 Armada tanks. Like, it was supposed to be a new generation tank, was supposed to be part of the Russian military, alright? But however, the project got away. They decided not to make more T-14 tanks. They made like 10 or 12 of those T-14 tanks, but they're like not ready to battle with enemy tanks nowadays, alright? But I felt like they should have make T-14 tank in their military. That would be a lot better than making plain old T-72, 80, and 90 tanks. They also refurbish them or give them modern day equipment and stuff. To me, it's kind of stupid for that. Like, do what we do, alright? We play M60 Patton tank for Abrams tank in America. Look at Germany. They got newer tanks like Leopard 2. And UK using Challenger 2 tanks too, you know. That would be a good idea, and all the cost, it maybe cost more to make new tanks. But hey, if you want to be a dominant country, replace them with new tanks instead of using old, crappy, rundown tanks and stuff. And right now, Russia is sending more old 64, 62 tanks into Ukraine now. But it's, to me, not a good idea to send like 60 or 70-year-old tanks, Russian tanks, to battle in Ukraine. What are they gonna do? They're going to send T-34 tank in Ukraine now? If they do, I mean, like, you gotta be kidding me. Russia is no longer be able to make more tanks like that, alright? So it also, to me, Russian tanks could cause more lives, more death toll on to tank crew itself. I counted how many tank crewmen dies while using Russian tanks in battle. I counted approximately like 300 or 400,000 tank crewmen dies in battle while using Russian tanks. That a lot of people that die using those tanks. To me, these tanks are your graves now. These tanks are not the ones. For this review for all Russian tanks, I give it a 3 out of 10 on these Russian tanks. Not good, no improvements, no newer armor. Their guns, but their autoloader may be good. I like to see that in US and Western country nowadays. But cannot take on modern day tanks nowadays, and also need more improvement, alright? Like, make it look better, like, make it look like an Abrams tank, for crying out loud, okay, y'all? So, this is my thoughts and history of the Russian tanks right here, y'all. I'm glad y'all would like to watch about my history. If I want to make another history story, I will have. I got newer projects on this channel I want to do and stuff. And also this year, I might go to California to go to Universal Hollywood or Disneyland right here, y'all. What you guys think, alright? What you guys think of this channel right here, y'all? I'm glad y'all would like this channel, alright? Subscribe to this channel, hit notification down below. And I see you guys next time, alright? Dr. Dude is out.